Hello and welcome. It's that time of the year again when we sit to discuss India's finest in a run-up to CNN News 18 Indian of the Year, where we honor people who have excelled, stood out and made us all proud. Today, we look at nominees in business, and it's been an interesting year for businesses in India. An aggressive government pushed its Make in India campaign, changed policy to revive foreign investment. The world answered, but demand globally has not kept up. Despite all these challenges, there were a few who stood up and delivered. Here's a look at our nominees for CNN News 18's Indian of the Year in Business.
बंधन बैंक में जब आप अकाउंट खोलोगे तो बैंक खुद चल के आपके घर आएगा।
Bandhan Bank's foundation is built on those customers others shy away from. 70% of its branches are in rural India, 30% in pockets which have no banks. Most of its 6.5 million customers are India's poorest borrowers, as also self-help groups, small businesses and women entrepreneurs. Vaccine king Cyrus Poonawala's Poonawala Group is emerging as one of the most valuable companies globally. The privately held Serum Institute of India has tied up with US-based Vistera to make a dengue fever drug. The company is investing $150 million to expand its vaccine capacity.
The release of the girl.
A year since the high-decibel Make in India campaign started, the team has raised India's perception as an investment destination. 25 sectors have been identified for focused intervention. FDI has been liberalized in key areas like defense, railways, finance and medical equipment. This company truly embodies Make in India. 6 years after entering a highly competitive market, Micromax has emerged as India's #2 smartphone brand and the 10th largest global manufacturer. The company is entering new markets in Africa, West Asia and the CIS countries. Homegrown taxi aggregator Ola has stayed on top with constant innovation. Only women cabs, auto rickshaws on demand, shuttle buses, even boats in flood-hit Chennai. Ola's pacts with China's Didi and the US Lyft allows users to travel seamlessly across China, US and Southeast Asia.
It's a very exciting moment in our history. We are effectively merging two great institutions together.
Uday Kotak sealed the acquisition of rival ING Vysya last year, making Kotak Mahindra India's 4th largest bank.
Welcome aboard.
It's certainly going to be a tough competition there, tough call. Joining me to speak on these nominees, Shireen Bhan, Managing Editor, CNBC TV 18. She's packed with all the everything that she's done, all the information there, lots of pages to look at. Suveen Sinha, Executive Editor, HT, joining us from Delhi, and TV Mohandas Pai, Chairman of the Manipal Global Education Services. Always great to see you, sir. Nimmana nodi nange tumba khushi aitu. Swagata, suswagata.
Thank you, Karma.
Okay. So let's begin.
Bala Santashayatu Matari. Bala Santashayatu.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Let's start. with Bandhan Bank. And the first question to you, Shireen, since you're close to me here in the studio, you know, Bandhan is a story of perseverance, isn't it? And you're talking about a person who's come up, not even from the middle class, from the lower middle class, I guess, to set up a bank of this size from being a microfinance company.
All of that in 15 years, Karma. What a story it has been for Bandhan Bank. It is today India's youngest bank. It got the license from the Reserve Bank of India, along with just one other contender, IDFC. So these were the two that actually got the license from the Reserve Bank of India to start a bank. Now, Bandhan, before it became a bank, was India's largest microfinance institution, started in 2001 by Chandrasekhar Ghosh. And really, as you pointed out, it is a story of passion, perseverance, determination, and wanting to do what you've set out to do. Even if you look at the DNA of the bank today, very close to what the microfinance institution's DNA has been. So in terms of its lending pattern and in terms of its aspiration, continues to think big. In 2017, Chandrasekhar Ghosh hopes that both in terms of deposits as well as credit, they'll be able to do a 30% kind of growth rate. So, you know, everyone's watching out for what Bandhan Bank is going to be able to do now.
Right, certainly. Mr. Mohandas Pai, your take on Bandhan Bank?
I think Bandhan Bank, like Shireen said, has been a great story. They come from the bottom and now officially they got the tag of a bank. As a bank, they have to follow certain RBI norms. They have to do it well. So long they've been pretty successful. They have been able to price at market, and they're supposed to work in an earlier model with large amounts of capital that they're able to get from many institutions. Now they're a bank. We must see how to judge them among other banks and see how over the next 3 or 4 years they will be able to grow, keep to the bottom of the pyramid on a retail basis and ensure good recovery. And as you become larger, the real tests come out because when you become from a sample to part of the universe, all the ills and benefits of the universe come. So I think it's a great story. So the jury is out on how they will succeed as a bank. So far in the first few months, I think they've done a very good job, and certainly a commendable institution in India.
Right, and Suveen, a book I guess is soon to be out on the story of Bandhan Bank. Yes, you know, if we are to choose Bandhan Bank as our winner, it'll be for what they've done in the past. But the next few years will be a challenge. And you see a team, do you see a team that can deliver?
Yeah, hi. Actually, the thing that seems to be working for Mr. Ghosh is that he stays true to his roots, you know, as a lot of us would know. His father used to own a small sweet shop in Agartala, where Mr. Ghosh used to help out. And he has stayed true to those roots. You know, he says that he takes inspiration from poor women. Before Bandhan became a bank, it had about 5.5 million micro borrowers. Even now, if you look at it, it has about 8.5, 9 million borrowers. And if you look at the loan size for each of them, it remains true to its roots, as I keep saying, you know, small borrowers, small loans, which seems to be working. It's going into the unbanked areas.
Right. Okay. Complete contrast to Bandhan when I bring in Cyrus Poonawalla, as Shireen earlier told me, from breeding horses to real estate to being the serum king of India. If you were to choose Cyrus Poonawalla, what would be the USP that you'd be voting for?
Well, Karma, you know, he's a colourful personality. There's no two ways about that. I've interviewed Cyrus Poonawalla several times in the past several years. But I think what is interesting about Cyrus Poonawalla is the fact that, you know, out of nowhere, completely different from the business that the family operated in, which was the stud farm, he decided to diversify into Serum Institute. And today, if you look at the success of Serum Institute, at least I think 1 of 65% of children globally has been touched by a serum vaccine. So he's been able to create this company. He's been able to build the serum brand over the last several decades now. It is of course a private company, so there is limited access as far as financial information is concerned. There's been a lot of talk around whether he will eventually sell out or not, whether he will merge with Cipla or not, but at least at this point in time his son is taking the Serum legacy forward, and Cyrus Poonawalla has been able to create a commendable venture at Serum Institute.
Right. Mohandas Pai, is it good or bad as an industry leader for a company to stay private? Of course, we don't get to invest in it.
Well, I would say that if you've got a very good company, don't require capital, just say private.
Yeah.
You don't have to follow SEBI norms, don't have to report to people, don't have to go on quarterly calls. Shirin will not be after you, Lata will not be after you, asking you all these wonderful questions. You may not be on TV, you may not be on TV and become
He's still
popular,
on TV.
but you are
He's
making
still
a
on
lots
TV.
of
He's
money
not
and you
listed,
don't have
but
no
he's
need
still
for
on TV,
capital,
Mr.
best
Pai.
to stay private. Yeah, I know, Shirin, you have discovered all these wonderful gems across India who've done a great job. But I think Cyrus is a pioneer because he went into an area where there were not many players, stuck to it and grew it up to become a globally dominant player.
That's right.
I think he's an understated personality, very colorful, I think, if you meet him, from what we know. But I think a great entrepreneur, and one must give him a lifetime award because I think, he suddenly stands out in India and globally. And to have a 60% dominant position globally is not a very, is very, very difficult. It's not an easy thing.
Right. And what also stood out in the last year and the year before that, of course, is the government's Make in India pitch. Suveen, a word on the entire team, who's done an excellent job as far as marketing India on the global scale is concerned. Now, some changes in policy, how much of it has worked or not, that debate is still open. But how do you rate team Make in India?
Oh, I would rate it very, very highly, Karma. See, it was off to a slow start, I must say, in September 2014, just a few months after Mr. Modi took charge as Prime Minister. But he had talked about it earlier, I think in his Independence Day speech in August. And then how true he has stayed on this path, that's what is remarkable, and sends the right signals. So after that slow start, it has picked up speed considerably. And I think the Make in India week in February in Bombay was a remarkable thing. Delegates from 60 countries, some 5,000 of them coming, some 15 lakh crore in investment proposals. It has really picked up speed, and if you look at the names which want to come to India, Foxconn, huge name. There is this little pocket in Andhra Pradesh that's coming up where several mobile manufacturing units are being set up, and initially there were doubts whether India can outdo say China in mass manufacturing, but we are clearly not trying to ape the Chinese. We have several other advantages to offer. We have a skilled manpower, and more importantly, the message that is going out from this government. Of course, Mr. Amitabh Kant is not there. Actually, I'm not sure whether he'll continue to be there as CEO of Niti Aayog or not. But again, remarkable job.
Right.
And we are telling the world that India is a good place to manufacture, which is what really matters.
Right. Mr. Pai, very quickly, you've seen it firsthand. Whether it's working or not, what's the USP?
Well, fantastic campaign, fantastic PR, fantastic branding, great imaging. You are the master of the impossible. Our Prime Minister Narendra Modi building the brand. Then you are the great creative genius of Amitabh Kant doing such a wonderful thing. I think it went off very well all around the world. I met many investors in the last 1 year. Everybody is very positive. They all talk about Make in India. But I would like to wait on the ground as to what the impact is and judge them by the impact they make. If you're doing a campaign, you're doing branding, I think it's out of the world, the best that you've ever seen for a long period of time after the Incredible India campaign. So I think I want to see the impact now to understand what it means.
Right. So as far as marketing is concerned, globally...
Yeah, if I can just add in a word there and take forward the argument that Mr. Pai is making, that I think if you look at Make in India as a marketing campaign, as a marketing proposition, then I think it's delivered on the ground. But we must also keep in mind the global reality as well as the Indian reality. We're dealing with a situation where there is overcapacity, there is lack of demand, whether it's the global context or it's the Indian context. So which is why private investment is yet to pick up. When you talk about foreign direct investment, as Suveen was pointing out, yes, the numbers are looking better for India. You've got the Foxconns of the world, the Xiaomis of the world, the Gionis of the world entering India. But they're also entering India and looking to manufacture in India because of the strength of the Indian domestic market. The India story is being driven by consumption at this point in time. It's not being driven by investment. So Make in India will deliver in some time, but it also will require the global economic climate as well as the economic climate back home for demand really to pick up to ensure it delivers on its promise.
For us to be truly making for the world, that will be important. With that, we go into a short break.
Can I add a word here, Karma?
Running out of time very quickly.
Yeah, so, okay. All right.
Okay, we'll go into a short break, but remember, you can have your say. News18.com is where you can log in. Also, look us up on Facebook. Go into a short break. We'll continue to discuss our nominees in business. Welcome back. We are discussing India's finest in the run-up to CNN News 18's Indian of the Year, where we honor people who have excelled, stood out and made us all proud. Today, we look at the best in business with my guests. Time now to talk about Micromax, a company that has truly made in India. Shireen, it's been a difficult year for Micromax, isn't it? Because they've got multiple competition coming in from China, but the company is still trying hard. It is innovating.
Well, Karma, yes, it is going to be a challenge for Micromax now. In a sense, you know, what they were doing to the Samsungs of the world is now being done onto them with the emergence of Xiaomi's and Xiaomi's into the Indian market. So they are now trying to reinvent the company. In fact, a short while ago, the company had issued a press release saying that they want to create an integrated services company, so get into mobile payments and so on and so forth, and create that ecosystem around the smartphone. But this was a David and Goliath story, really. I mean, they were taking on the big boys, they were taking on the Samsungs and the Apples in the Indian market and doing it very, very successfully for several years. There's always been a perception problem, a low, cheap quality issue problem that's plagued them, which is why the efforts to bring a Hugh Jackman on board, which is why the effort to tie up with the likes of Intel and so on and so forth. But they have had problems even trying to retain talent within the company. We've seen some senior level departures, especially in the recent past as well. So it is going to be an interesting phase to see if Micromax can, in that sense, reinvent itself. It is investing significant sums of money. They have publicly stated that they'll be investing about 300 crore rupees in setting up more capacity and so on and so forth. So it will be an interesting year to watch out for Micromax.
Right. Suveen, as far as marketing is concerned, excellent job. They came out of nowhere, you know, supporting all the cricketing tournaments and all. But from here on, the real challenge begins. What's the USP that you'll be looking for if they are to come and win the Indian of the Year in business?
Right, so Shirin spoke about reinventing Micromax, which will primarily, I think, will be whether Micromax can convince people to buy its higher-end phones or not, and they have a lot of them coming up. But what Micromax has managed to do is that in the middle rung of the market, in the 8,000, 15,000, 17,000 price points, the market seems to be divided into two, the Chinese brands and Micromax, which itself is a measure of success. Even though Micromax also got its phones from China, but it has managed to build an individuality as an Indian brand. And of course, the recent times have been very busy for Rahul Sharma, not least because he married Asin, a Bollywood actress. He has, as in the company has invested in some Micromax has invested in 7 to 10 small companies. They have set up one more company called U-Mobile, which is building an ecosystem of apps and services. You know, Micromax is trying a lot. It doesn't want to be just a hardware company. And to remind everybody, it actually started life as a software company, getting into hardware much later, some 6-7 years later. So, of course, challenge is very, very stiff, like Shireen pointed out. But, you know, Micromax has a lot going for it, not least its 4 co-founders. who seem to be quite driven, quite so. In fact, I've seen some of them,
Right.
some of their future offerings not in the market yet, and they look really good.
Right, and another company, of course, giving a global, the global taxi aggregator Uber a run for the money, our own Ola. And Mr. Mohandas Pai, you've seen the company grow there in Bangalore. You know, they are one of our nominees. What do you think about them?
No, I think Ola is giving an extraordinarily difficult time to Uber. Uber came in with great tech, great name, great capital, and they had a process. They sorted everything out. And Ola came right from the bottom and has become a formidable player. They built good tech, they built a good organization, they're lowering the cost, enhanced delivery. I think suddenly is a real upstart who has come and challenged a global player who's come to dominate India and prevent India from becoming a digital colony of a few global companies. So I think you must give full credit to Ola for fighting the battle with Uber and operating on equal terms. Now we got to see whether they're going to beat Uber. The challenge is still there, and I think this year will be a very, very brutal year. Ola has a slight edge as of this time, but I think they must improve the processes. So I think it's certainly an extraordinary performance in this year.
Right, and quickly, one industry leader we can never ignore. He keeps coming back, Mr. Uday Kotak. Certainly this year too, you know, he's made some great moves. Fourth largest bank in India, Shri.
Absolutely. I mean, Uday Kotak is a man whose name appears whenever you're doing this exercise of sizing up business leaders in India. In fact, I was at the EY World Entrepreneur Awards where Uday Kotak was made the winner of the Global EY Entrepreneur. So he was representing the country and he won, and I think it was a contest of over 60 odd entrepreneurs from around the world. So Uday Kotak has created and built Kotak Mahindra Bank, as you pointed out, with the recent acquisition of ING Vysya, which has gone off very, very smoothly. There were concerns on integration issues, but that has been handled very, very smoothly in terms of NPAs and so on and so forth. A close check on that. So both in terms of the strength of the balance sheet as well as the aspiration, credibility, customer service, performance, I think Kotak Mahindra Bank and Uday Kotak have delivered on that promise. Karma.
Right, very quickly now to wrap it up, Suvin, who would you give it to? Tough one.
Oh, well, well, it's not entirely in my hands, but I have something to say about Bhavish Aggarwal of Ola. You know, I have spoken to a lot of venture capital people and angel investors who invest in these startups, and I asked them all one question: who is your ideal co-founder? You know, in a lot of these conversations, Bhavish's name comes up.
Yeah.
Just a small nugget, in my presence, Bhavish swore that he will never own a car. And in fact, he has made his father-in-law sell his car, which I think is a bigger feat. So that is because, you know, his entire philosophy is that you do not need to have a car of your own because, you know, you have Ola. So that is the kind of commitment he shows. I like him.
Right, you should try and get Mr. Mohandas Pai to agree and sell his car. That's the day I will also sell my car. Let's see whether that happens or not. With that, we've run completely out of time. IndianoftheYear.com is the website you can go to and have your say. Also, News18.com. Our search for CNN News 18's Indian of the Year continues here. Thanks for watching.